Welcome. I'm Gayathri and I'm passionate about transformative coaching in the realm of life and leadership. My journey towards coaching started with an educational background in psychology and over 20 years of corporate leadership. Today, my commitment to help unlock limitless possibilities within each individual has culminated in the creation of my organization, Realize to Win. As a certified master coach, my philosophy centers around the power of the human mind and its boundless capacity for growth and achievement. My approach is rooted in the belief that with the right mindset, training, and guidance, there's truly no limits to what you can accomplish. My work is just not about reaching goals. It is truly about redefining the very boundaries of potential. Join me every week on my podcast, Catalyze Your Self, where we can dive into mindsets, experiences, and practical steps that will ignite your transformation towards limitless possibilities. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Catalyze Yourself, where we dive deep into what it takes to transform our lives through understanding, acceptance, and action. I'm your host, Gayathri, and today we are going to unpack something that touches all of our lives: forgiveness. Whether it is forgiving ourselves or others, understanding the process can lead us to profound peace and closure. Today, let us spend some time thinking through how, when we choose to forgive, the person we are doing it the most for is our own selves. So let's take some time to think through how forgiving stands for giving you peace. As a coach, I often guide my clients through the journey of forgiveness, and I've done this journey for my own self. Personally, I've encountered numerous instances where the choice to forgive was pivotal, as I'm sure every single one of us. Forgiving ourselves can often be the hardest. The irony is, whether it is our own actions or someone else's that caused the hurt, forgiveness is ultimately a gift we give to our own selves, not to the person who wronged us. Forgiveness is complex and a deeply personal process that can be relevant in so many situations. It can be where someone feels wronged, hurt, or negatively impacted in some sort of way, whether intentionally or unintentionally. We could face so many different scenarios like misunderstandings or miscommunications. Often, people may hurt others without the intent to do so, simply because of poor communication. Forgiving in such cases can help remove and resolve feelings of frustration and hurt that is coming out of these misinterpretations, accidents, or unintended harm. Forgiveness may be needed when someone causes accidental harm, such as a car accident or a mishandled situation that leads to physical or emotional pain. Even if the harm wasn't intentional, the injured party might have to still forgive to move forward. There could be personal failures and regrets. Sometimes forgiveness is inwardly directed. This includes forgiving ourselves for missed opportunities, mistakes, failures. Self forgiveness is crucial for personal growth and overcoming feelings of guilt or inadequacy. Now, this is what a lot of us think of when we think of forgiveness, which is betrayals and broken trust. This is, in terms of forgiveness, betrayal by a friend or family member or partner can have a huge impact on us, and it's a journey we absolutely must take. Forgiveness in these cases can be particularly challenging, but it is so, so necessary for our healing, for the wounds that we have to heal, and to ensure future healthy relationships. In all of these scenarios, forgiveness serves a very similar purpose. It allows us to release negative emotions and gain peace. However, the process and implications of forgiving can differ significantly based on the specific context you're facing. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean forgetting the incident or excusing the behavior, but it involves a conscious decision to let go of resentment and anger, which is so important for our mental, physical, and spiritual well being. Forgiveness is so often misunderstood. It is not about condoning hurtful actions or even reconciling with someone who wronged us. It is truly about setting ourselves free from the burden of bitterness. It means stopping the pain from defining our lives. So, regardless of it being a personal blunder or someone else's actions that left that scar, forgiveness is the path to our own healing. There are so many misconceptions about forgiveness. Let's talk through a few of them. First, forgiveness is not about accepting someone else's apology. It is about letting go of resentment, regardless of the other person's actions or inactions. It is a personal process that benefits you more than anyone else. And it is you, if it is you who is seeking forgiveness from someone else, the first step is to know you're not entitled to it from that person. If the person you're seeking from gives you a yes, I forgive you, it does not mean they have let go of resentment. I know each of us know of scenarios where someone has said they have forgiven someone else, yet they have not let it go and keeps bringing it up periodically. That tells you true forgiveness process has not occurred. If the person you're seeking forgiveness from refuses to give it to you, it does not mean forgiveness is not yours. Forgiveness is a self healing process. It is not for another to give you. It is for you to take the journey needed to learn the lessons and make the changes needed based on the perspectives and lessons you have learned from what has occurred or happened. In the same token, forgiveness is not also something you give someone else. It's a gift, as I've mentioned, that you give yourself by forgiving your own part in the healing process. The lessons learned, you own them. And the changes you need to make, you own them and start moving forward. It empowers you to rise above that victim mentality and to take control of your emotional well being. Also, forgiveness is not an entitlement owed due to familial relationships or social obligations. It is about your readiness to move on, to free yourself from emotional chains that bind you to the past. It is a choice that comes from a place of strength, not weakness, not obligation. And from a spiritual perspective, forgiveness is deeply intertwined with the principles of compassion and grace. These principles encourage us to look beyond the surface of the actions and behaviors to see the potential growth and healing in everyone, including ourselves. However, this does not mean enabling negative behaviors or entitling someone to continue to be on a harmful path to themselves or ourselves. Compassion in the context of forgiveness means acknowledging that everyone has their struggles, fears, and pain that may lead them to act out. It is about understanding the human condition is a shared experience of imperfection. Grace is the ability to offer kindness, even when it is hard, when the other person may not seem like they deserve it at that moment. But crucially, extending compassion and grace doesn't mean reconciling or continuing to put ourselves in harm's way. True spiritual forgiveness means allowing others the space to work on themselves while we do the same. It is recognizing that we are all on a journey of personal growth and that sometimes the best support we can give someone isn't to fix their problems or excuse their behaviors, but to step back and focus on our own healing. This approach does not ignore the need for personal boundaries. In fact, it prioritizes them. By setting clear boundaries, we respect our own needs and well being while giving others the freedom to confront and face and work on their own issues. This aspect of forgiveness is empowering. It is about taking responsibility for our part in the journey without feeling responsible for another person's path. In essence, spiritual forgiveness is a dual process of internal reflection and external release. It invites us to heal and to transform ourselves. And by doing so, we are inherently offering others the opportunity to do the same. This kind of forgiveness does not just change us, it has the potential to subtly influence everyone around us, promoting a cycle of positive change and personal accountability. Now, physically and neurologically, forgiveness has profound benefits. Holding on to grudges and bitterness can lead to what? Increased stress and anxiety, which negatively affects the body, increasing the risk of heart disease, affecting our immune response, and even slowing down our healing process. Neurologically, letting go of resentment can reduce anxiety and depression. It lowers blood pressure and improves heart health. The act of forgiveness is a release of stress and can change your brain's pathways. Neuroplasticity, the more you forgive, you're training your brain to choose a certain path of thinking, choices, and action. And it reduces hostility and the psychological wear and tear of our body associated with stress. Understanding these aspects of forgiveness can transform our approach to dealing with hurt and disappointment. It is not about moving past a single specific event or a person. It is about healing and freeing ourselves so we can lead healthier, happier lives. So I want to walk us through the process of forgiveness. I'm a big proponent of conceptually things are great, but how does this practically look when we break it down? So I want to share with you first a personal example that happened very early in my career when I was working towards growing my leadership skills and my leadership scope and capabilities. As a result of this very painful experience at the time and the process of forgiveness that I walked through, it brought me perspectives and wisdom that I carry today. And it has helped me through my own journey as a leader and now as a coach. This was the time I found myself working under a direct leader who, intentionally or not, fostered an environment that was ingrained, steeped in mistrust and toxicity. This leader style was divisive and not transparent, so opaque, often pitting team members against each other and promoting a culture of secrecy and suspicion. Despite the negative atmosphere, I remained committed to my role and the larger goals of our team. But it was becoming increasingly difficult to perform effectively under strenuous conditions. Seeking resolution, I attempted on multiple occasions to address these issues directly with my leader. And each time, my attempts were either outright blocked or met with dismissive responses. It was very clear that my concerns were not going to be heard, let alone addressed in a meaningful way through direct communication. So I started looking for what other ways can I approach this. So in search of support and perhaps a different perspective on how to navigate this very challenging situation, I turned to another leader within our organizational chain. And this leader was someone I, at the time, respected and trusted based on the persona that they were showing everyone. And this was someone who has always advocated for open communication and integrity within our leadership ranks. After sharing my experience, I was assured of confidentiality, a promise that gave me courage to be completely transparent about the situation. However, the trust I placed in this second leader was misplaced, I learned in hindsight. Rather than maintaining confidentiality they assured me of, they went directly to my direct leader and relayed our conversation. This breach not only eroded the remaining trust remaining between my direct leader and me, but also left me feeling isolated and vulnerable. The revelation of my confidential discussion resulted in increased scrutiny and criticism from my direct leader. Are we surprised? No, we are not. And the working relationship deteriorated further. It took me a very long time to come to terms with the betrayal and to understand that the actions of my leaders were not reflections of my worth or my personal capabilities. I am grateful for the journey because now I get to share those lessons with those who want to hear from me. Using this example, let me break down for you the 6 step process for forgiveness. First is acknowledge, second is ownership, third is perspective changes and lessons, fourth is detachment, fifth is closure. And the sixth and final step is peace. So let's go through each of these process steps, and I'll try to integrate the example into it so you can see the practical applications of it. So first step, acknowledge. The first step in forgiveness is acknowledgement. It's about facing the facts squarely, understanding the emotions involved, and recognizing the impact on your life. In my situation with my direct leader, the acknowledgement meant admitting to myself that the toxic environment and the betrayal by another leader were real and significantly affecting my personal and professional performance and emotional well-being. I had to confront the reality of the situation without minimizing it, sugarcoating it, rationalizing it, any of the behaviors and the impact involved. The second step, ownership. Once we acknowledge the situation, the next step is taking ownership of our healing. This does not mean taking responsibility for the actions of others, but rather owning our own responses to those actions. For me, this meant accepting that while I could not control either of these leaders' actions, I could control how I responded to them and how I chose to move forward. It was about recognizing what I could learn from this experience and how I could protect myself in the future and the lessons I could take into the future. This was not about finding fault at all with myself or another person, but about empowering myself to recover and grow from this experience. Perspective changes and lessons would be the next step that comes as part of the forgiving path. Changing our perspective is absolutely crucial. This step involves shifting from seeing ourselves as victim or where something has happened to ourselves, to something has happened for us. So to viewing ourselves as learners and survivors. Each painful experience teaches us something. For me, the betrayal taught me the importance of setting and enforcing boundaries and seeking to understand a person through their personas, even in those positions of authority. My observation skills was something I started working on immediately after, and also expanding my professional network for more unbiased guidance and support. I would guide others in my direct reports later on in life, and any peers and anybody who had a contextual impact with a scenario like this, that lessons we must always take more than our direct leadership chain within our immediate function, who should be knowing who we are and what we are capable of at all times. Expand your network. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Have different leaders and peers and network connections across the organization who consistently know the authentic you. So if there is any discrepancy of perception, you have others who can balance that out. But coming back to forgiveness, the next step is detachment. Detachment is about emotionally separating from the event. It is crucial to stop the incident from triggering deep emotional responses like anger or sadness again and again and again. Once you resolve and reconcile, it now becomes just wisdom, not emotions that comes with it. In my case, practicing mindfulness, I was already a student of this mindset, and focusing on personal growth helped me view the situation as part of my past, not a defining factor of my present or future. It involves recognizing the events as a chapter in my story that has already ended, allowing me to write the next one with a clearer, calmer perspective. The next step, the fifth step, is closure. Achieving closure does not involve an apology or acknowledgement from those who may have wronged us. In my scenario, closure came from internally reconciling with what occurred, understanding the actions of my leaders were their responsibility, and recognizing what I need to do to take as lessons and move forward. Expecting an apology that may never come only holds us back. I learned to set new boundaries that would protect me in similar future situations, effectively closing off the emotional investment in that particular chapter of my career. And the sixth and final step, peace. Finally, peace. This is the ultimate goal of forgiveness. Peace comes when you realize what has happened led to your growth. Peace comes when you recognize the good, bad, indifferent, ugly, anything and everything that's happened for you. It is bringing you and making you stronger, wiser, and more equipped with new insights to moving forward in life. For me, finding peace meant accepting that while the whole experience in the moment was painful, it was also transformative. It pushed me to advocate for myself and others more strongly, ensuring that my work environment aligns very closely with my values. In my journey towards forgiveness, with this example that I just shared, I had to first acknowledge the deep impact of this experience on my professional life and my personal well being. I recognized that holding on to resentment was only perpetuating my distress. Forgiveness in this case was not about excusing any of these leaders' actions or reconciling with those leaders. Instead, it was about freeing myself from the emotional burden that was hindering my growth. I learned the hard lesson that trust must be judiciously given, even in professional settings when integrity is expected. Setting boundaries became a crucial part of my subsequent professional interactions. Most importantly, I came to understand that my response to betrayal was a testament to my resilience and my capacity to adapt. And it is a form of self forgiveness that acknowledged my own strengths and the proactive steps I needed to take towards personal healing and future professional success. So, in closing, forgiveness is a powerful tool for personal liberation. It is not about overcoming a single event or a person. It is about healing and freeing ourselves to lead healthier, happier lives. I encourage all of you to reflect on areas in your life where forgiveness may be needed. What part of forgiveness process resonates the most with you? What are you most um, concerned about starting and walking the journey through? Start acknowledging the pain. Take ownership of your healing and gradually, slowly, step by step, start working through your path towards peace. And I would love to hear how you're applying these insights. Share your stories with us and let's support each other in transforming our lives through forgiveness. And this is a journey I can absolutely help you through. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. As you know, I'm a life and leadership coach. And as always, I will share my emails and socials in my podcast description. Thank you for joining me today on Catalyze Yourself. I'm your host, Gayathri, and I hope one of your biggest takeaways from this episode is that every single step you're taking towards forgiveness is a step that you're taking towards healing yourself. And until next time, keep in mind that the only person who can make a difference for you is you. And when you choose to forgive, you're truly choosing to give yourself peace.